The WNBA don't pay my bills at all. I don't even think that pays one of my bills. Literally. I'm trying to think of like my rent for where I stay at. I'm gonna do the math real quick.
It might cover that. Yeah, it covers that. It definitely covers that.
What is I don't even know my salary.
Angel Reese just announced she's leaving the WNBA because her salary isn't enough to cover her bills, but apparently OnlyFans can, yet sounds ridiculous. But hey, it's Angel Reese, we should have expected nothing less than the most dramatic exit possible.
Problem for Angel Reese, her rent is $8,000 a month. Earlier this week, she complained about the generous donations that she receives from the NBA not being enough to pay her exorbitant rent.
You don't even... Yo! I'm living beyond my means!
She's basically saying she can't afford her $8,000 monthly rent on her WNBA salary of $3,439, but hold up, she conveniently forgot to mention her sponsorship deals, or that her net worth is probably enough to buy a small island. Honestly, Angel blaming being too broke for this career pivot feels like a weak excuse, especially when people are side-eyeing your decision to join the world of adult entertainment and bold modeling. See.
I'm a beautiful girl. Like, I'm a beautiful woman. I've been posting pictures in my bikinis. I got a nice body and I work hard for it. And if I want to post a picture in my bikini, I should be able to without being sexualized.
You could have just quietly walked away, and we'd all be happy to see the WNBA get a little less toxic.
It's kind of like the league is in its baddie era.
Yeah.
So right now
it's a baddie era.
For real.
Sure. Like, I love the tunnel walks. Everybody getting fitted for games. We looking good.
And let's be real, ever since Angel Reese joined the WNBA, her Instagram feed started making way more headlines than her jump shot. You'd think being a rookie in one of the biggest women's basketball leagues would keep her focused on the game. But nope, her social media quickly became a runway of bold photo shoots. And let's just say artistic poses that had about as much to do with basketball as I have with quantum physics. It wasn't even subtle.
This league does not have the money to pay you. They don't have the money to pay the minimum wage that you are generously collecting now, much less the millions of dollars that WNBA players will potentially demand this offseason. Make no mistake about it, that video from Angel Reese, that was 100% intentional.
And it didn't stop there. While most rookies are out here grinding to make a name for themselves on the court, Angel was already getting loud about her paychecks, or lack thereof. She wasn't holding back either. Instead of just lacing up her sneakers and playing ball, she was practically waving a flag shouting, "I'm not making enough money." And of course, she just had to drop the infamous $88,000 a month rent bombshell. Because who doesn't feel bad for someone who struggles to pay that kind of rent in Chicago, right? It became a whole thing with everyone talking about her outrageous rent situation.
Clearly, she goes on to say that her WNBA salary doesn't pay her rent.
Now, this is where things get spicy. When she told the world she was shelling out $8,000 a month for a high-rise apartment, the internet collectively gasped. People were scratching their heads like, wait, a rookie paying $96,000 a year just for rent? Even Angel herself seemed kind of stunned, like, oh, am I living beyond my means? Who knew? Seriously, though, how do you not notice your wallet screaming at you every month? The fans weren't having it. They were out here saying what we were all thinking, girl. You're a rookie, maybe don't sign a lease that costs more than yearly salary. Rookie mistake both on the court and off it.
The average rent in Chicago is around $2,000 a month. Now, to be fair, I am sure $2,000 is just enough to get you a premier dump in the city. But Angel Reese, she works in a dump every day, so the conditions shouldn't really bother her. $24,000 a year in rent. That would be around a third of her salary. Now, that is higher than the 25% that's recommended, but Angel Reese, she should be able to get by living donation to donation with rent being $2,000 a month.
And when it comes to Angel Reese and her financial struggles, things are way more complicated and honestly more entertaining than they might seem at first glance. Sure, her WNBA salary of $3,439 sounds pretty modest, especially when you're comparing it to NBA players making enough money to start their own space programs. But focusing only on that number is like focusing on the iceberg while missing the massive chunk of ice beneath the surface. Angel's bank account is way healthier than she lets on.
So her WNBA salary doesn't pay her rent. Now her WNBA salary is like $74,000. So she makes a regular American salary for an extraordinary amount of attention that she gets. Now, obviously, she's cashing in.
Between endorsements, nil deals, and her participation in that shiny new Unrivaled league, she's reportedly pulling in anywhere from $1 million to $5 million annually. That's a lot of zeros. So when she's out here acting like she's counting pennies to keep the lights on, we're all left scratching our heads.
With endorsements and all of that. But, you know, isn't there an incentive? If you're in the NBA and you've got a guaranteed contract of $5, $10 plus million, whatever, you don't necessarily have an incentive to go out and make headlines.
Let's not forget, Angel has been one of the biggest winners of the NCAA's rule change that lets athletes cash in on their name, image, and likeness. She hit the jackpot after her big breakout with LSU, where she led them to a national championship in 2023. Her NDLs went through the roof. Brands were practically throwing themselves at her, begging to slap her face on everything from sneakers to skincare.
And by the way, like, if she didn't have all the other things that LSU and now certainly the WNBA, the exposure of those two places has gotten her all those lucrative contracts away from on the playing court. Her rent is $8,000 a month, Ricky.
She's got a nicer place than I do, evidently.
I was going to say, yeah, I might transition to go play in the WNBA.
And she didn't waste any time cashing those checks. These deals alone are bringing in millions, way more than most WNBA players can dream of earning from just playing ball. So it's a little wild when she goes on about being financially strained. But hold up, the plot thickens. Angel's not just making bank endorsements. She's also part of the Unrivaled League, a whole new basketball venture that's all about giving female athletes more control and ownership.
Just recently announced you're playing in Unrivaled.
Yay.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Just tell me how excited you are for that.
I'm really excited. For one, I came straight from college, so knowing that I don't have to go overseas and I'm able to play still in the States is something that I wanted. It's Miami. So
The Yams.
the Yams. So I'm excited for that.
And when I say ownership, I mean they're actually getting stakes in the league. Yep. They're not just players, they're investors. That's practically unheard of in sports, and it's putting even more money in her pocket. So when you think about Angel's finances, we're not talking about someone who's just scraping by. She's got the income streams most people dream about.
Angel Reese has things to say. She says that, and again, she can't decide if she wants to be the villain or not. One day she's the victim. One day she's saying things that make her villainous. She says that she wants to bring trash talk to women's basketball.